Earlier this month, Marilyn Manson made his comeback after being inactive for several years following being dropped by his record label, as well as his management following a wave of allegations of abuse, as well as multiple ongoing lawsuits. Manson denies any wrongdoing, but now he's come back. He released 2 brand new songs, and he's currently out on the road in support of Five Finger Death Punch. Now, back in 1997, Marilyn Manson faced protests down in South Carolina where his shocking imagery did not line up with the values of people in that community. And so there was a major backlash against Manson performing there. And the way they got his show canceled was that they actually passed a rule in the community there that said that he couldn't perform at any city-owned venues. Well, the venue that he was scheduled to perform at was, in fact, city-owned. Now, at an upcoming performance for that tour that Manson is currently on, which is scheduled to take place on September 6th at the Honda Center there in Anaheim, California, there have been calls for the city council there to actually enact a similar rule that would prohibit Manson from performing at that show. They also have planned to protest this upcoming event. In 1997, when Marilyn Manson was on tour, and he had a show coming up in Columbia, South Carolina, which is a pretty religious place, they didn't take too kindly to someone promoting a new album called Antichrist Superstar, and state legislators took drastic action. As many of you can remember, back then, Manson would frequently face protests at his performances. At a show on the same tour in Florida, about 5,500 people called the Jacksonville mayor's office in protest of his show. It was the Dead to the World tour, which ran from 1996 to 1997. Manson faced significant backlash like this for several years before the Columbine massacre, when he again faced backlash after there were rumors that the perpetrators of this massacre were fans of his music, which later turned out to be untrue. But when it came time for that April 20th, 1997 show in Columbia, South Carolina, state legislators had faced significant pressure from outraged locals to cancel the shock rockers show. The South Carolina legislature took drastic action. They introduced a resolution which would prohibit any state-owned venue from hosting a Marilyn Manson show. It turned out they happened to own the venue where he was scheduled to perform, ultimately canceling the show. Other shows were canceled too, including one in Richmond, Virginia. Plus, there was controversy in New Jersey, where officials said they wouldn't allow Ozfest to take place at Giant Stadium if Manson performed. Some of these show cancellations or resolutions would later face legal challenges. And now, in the midst of Manson's ongoing legal saga, he's facing protests at an upcoming show. September 6th at the Honda Center in Anaheim, California, multiple people spoke in front of a recent city council meeting, including one of Manson's accusers, who has an active lawsuit against him. They're asking the council to prohibit anyone accused of sexual assault from performing at the Honda Center, which is owned by the city of Anaheim. So it looks like there's going to be some sort of protest that occurs at this show, but as for that request to ban people from performing at the venue that are facing allegations, I don't know what's going to happen with that. I don't think that that is actually going to go through. I imagine there are also contracts in place for his performance at the venue, and probably based on these past situations as well that have faced legal challenges, I would expect something like that could potentially face the same. But we'll have to see. But Manson is currently out on tour. He does have those 2 new songs. All of those legal matters that are still ongoing, could take quite some time to resolve. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. That's your latest update from Rockfeed. Be sure to subscribe with notifications on for the latest news and updates.